All right, we're live.
Hi.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We are live on Women Who Lift Israel with our special guest, Esther Ben-Yishai. How are you doing, Esther?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, to intro everyone to our group, my name is Sarah, and I'm the founder of our beautiful and strong community, Women Who Lift Israel. We are a women only Facebook and Instagram community focused on empowering women through strength training. And every week we interview athletes, professionals in the field, motivational speakers in order to give our members inspiration, motivation, advice, and tips from professionals like Esther. So, for those who do not know, Esther is one of my oldest friends, actually, and we are both from Montreal, from Canada, and we started our Aliyah journey as roommates
We
until
did.
until Esther left me for Mickey, her husband, and yeah,
That
she
you
replaced
introduced
me.
me to. Yes.
Amazing. So we have a long history, and actually, I recently worked with Esther as personally as a coach, and I was really amazed of the mountains she was able to move for me. So I was really, really excited when she accepted to be interviewed in our group. So, are you ready to begin the interview, Esther?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and exactly what you specialize in, and anything else you'd like us to know about you.
Okay. So, well, as you mentioned, I'm from Montreal,
Mhm.
Canada. I speak English, French, and Hebrew.
Mhm.
Um, I made Aliyah. Well, we made Aliyah about what 15 years ago. I don't know if it's really 15, but I've been saying 15 for a long time,
For a
and I'm
while.
sticking to that. I don't know. Um, I'm married to Mickey, as you said. I have 3 kids, and number 4 is on the way.
Ça
Um,
va.
thank you. And
Mm.
so my professional journey was I studied finance and I worked in banks and the corporate world. I also studied educational psychology because that's where my heart was at. And I somehow tried to combine like corporate and education. And I never felt like I was really, really doing something that aligned with who I really was.
Mm.
um, I felt like so many people stuck in the wrong job, in the wrong career path, but I didn't know how to get out of it, but also I don't know that I had the courage to get out of it. This whole thing that so many of us go through. And a few years ago, by just a series of really, I guess, events I manifested into my life, that word manifested. I met a coach. I wanted her to coach me to find my ideal career, and
Mhm.
I realized that I wanted to be a coach. She had a
Mm.
coaching school, and so I learned coaching with her, and I learned also healing. So I'm a professional. I'm a certified life coach and a certified healer, and I never ever thought I would be a certified healer. It was very far from my
Mm.
rational, logical self.
Mm.
But life just took me towards it, and that's what I do. I also have another job that totally aligns with my life goals, um, and that's what I'm doing today, and I love it. I love it. I've transformed my
Amazing.
life in like a few years, and it's really a blessing.
Amazing. So let's start from the very beginning. What was young Esther like? And did you ever think you would become a coach and a healer? I think you just answered that
Mm.
you would never.
So, so I mean, um, I I always wanted to do good in the world. That was definitely one of my goals. I wanted to do good. I thought that I needed to make a lot of money to do good, which is why I went into finance. I had this dream. I'm going to make a lot of money on the stock exchange, and then I'm going to help this whole thing. And that never happened. And then I think I regretted for a long time that I hadn't gone like a more traditional path to actually help people. And then I discovered coaching. I really didn't know what coaching was, as I'm sure a lot of you don't know. I think it's a word that's like thrown around a lot. Everyone can be a coach today. So I didn't know what it was. And when I discovered what it was, I realized how much it corresponded to what I wanted to be. But I never thought I would be a healer. I think I actually enrolled in my first healing class denying that I knew what I was enrolling in. I pretended it wasn't really healing, and I was like, oh, I don't really know. My coach said that I should try this. And as soon as I started it, first of all of my teachers said that, I had this gift for it, but I felt it within me that this was something like I had known how to do or something. It felt very, very familiar, which was very, very weird to me. Again, I came from the world of finance. So it was very weird. And I still struggle with like saying I'm a healer. I feel very comfortable saying I'm a coach, but I still struggle sometimes with saying I'm a healer because I know, all the connotations around that. But it's something that I do, and apparently it works. So, so I'm taking what the universe gave me.
Amazing. So, for our members that don't know what life coaching or healing is, can you explain what it is a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I think that life coaching has been put in, and it pretty much is, but it's been put into the same category as traditional psychotherapy. The big differences, I would say, are that coaching is goal oriented. So you have a goal, and it's short term. So when you go to traditional therapy, it's more of a long term process. My clients come to me with a specific goal. It could be career oriented, lifestyle oriented. I want to get into shape, or I want to be more healthy, or I want to, figure out what my purpose is in life. It's a few months. It's not a few years or indefinite. So it's really short term. And also, I think one of the big differences is that in traditional therapy, you figure out where your issues come from, you figure out the source, and then at best, you learn how to live with them. Whereas with coaching, or at least the coaching that I practice, I really, really believe that you can heal. You don't need to live your whole life with a crutch. You can really heal from it. And I'm not only talking like energetically heal, which is something that I do. I'm really saying like you can get over something that has been a struggle for you or a trigger for you your whole life. I know that in my personal life, I have things that I used to struggle with. I breeze through them, and sometimes I need to stop and say, oh my gosh, that used to be like a huge thing in my life. How amazing is that? So I would say that those are the main differences.
Amazing. So, how do you work with your clients that would be relevant to our audience? Do you have any examples for us?
Yeah, of course.
Women who lift.
Women who lift, right. So as I mentioned, my clients come to me with a specific goal, which sounds right up this group's alley, right? Having a specific goal. And the goal can really be anything, really. But I'll take a goal that might be more relevant to this group. So I do have clients that'll come and say, I want to lose weight, or I want to live a healthier lifestyle. And then what we do is we go through a process where we try to uncover what has been blocking them. And I'm not talking about technique. I don't mean like, are you enrolled in the right gym or whatever? That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying actual subconscious beliefs that we have. So I'm gonna give a little briefing on our brain. Okay, so be with me for a few minutes. We're gonna talk about our brain. Okay, so if you can imagine your brain as a whole, your brain has, not exactly, but let's say two parts: your conscious brain and your subconscious brain. In the subconscious, there's the unconscious, but let's ignore the unconscious right now, and let's just say there are two parts. So in terms of just surface, okay, like quantity, your subconscious is about 90 to 95% of your brain, and the conscious is 5 to 10%. So if you're just looking at, size, the subconscious is obviously
massive. Yeah.
massive. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, your subconscious is thousands of times faster than your conscious. So it's bigger and it's faster. So if, let's say, your goal is to get into shape, okay, and you enroll in a gym, that action is using your conscious brain, which means you've now had on your side 5 to 10% of your brain and the slower part. Now, if there's no contradiction in your subconscious brain, if you have no subconscious beliefs about getting into shape and going to the gym, then easy peasy, you enroll and you start going to the gym, everything's great. But if you enroll and all of a sudden you start making excuses not to go, you hit the snooze button, you do all of those things, that's a sign that there is something in your subconscious, a belief, that is stopping you from carrying out your goal. And when you think about it, you have 90 to 95% of your brain and the faster part of your brain that's working against you. So pure willpower and, setting up a process and stuff like that, I mean, you're set for failure if you have something blocking you. So the process that I do is that I try to figure out what is it that's in your subconscious that is blocking you. I could give you a personal example. So my mom, who is a great mom, when I was growing up, she went to the gym every single day, but that meant that she came home late every single day. And so in my mind, I guess I created some sort of association between being fit, going to the gym, and disconnecting from your family. So, so I've enrolled in the gym. I have.
Really?
I have. And I never lasted very long. And now that I'm a coach and now that I understand how the brain works, I sat with myself and I went through the process that I go through with clients, and I realized where like what beliefs I had. I now have to go through the process of healing them and clearing them. And I have a coach. I meet with her once a week. I totally believe in the coaching process, so it's something that I do as well. And so it's something that I need to work on. And when I say to you that way, it sounds very, very obvious. It's not obvious when you are going through something, to go back and to try and find like what exactly in my life made me create this belief, etc. It's a process. So I help people figure that out, and then I help them clear it, heal it, so that they can really achieve their goals. And that's a bit of like what we did together, right? It's a very, very, very powerful process. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I understood from you while working with you is that like you could have a certain goal that is blocked by a certain belief maybe, but maybe your subconscious is like holding multiple beliefs that is blocking that goal. So you kind of have to like uncover like belief after belief until you figure
Right.
out this whole mountain of things that needs to be cleared. Can you talk a little bit
Absolutely.
about that?
Yeah. So I like to look at it as layers.
Mhm.
Some things won't be very layered if they're not like so important.
Mhm.
But your brain's goal is to protect you. That's its number one goal. Okay, it wants to protect you. So, and it does that neurologically, for example, by using the least amount of energy possible to perform a task. That's protection. But it also creates beliefs, subconscious beliefs, to protect you. So in my example, um, as I was growing up, to protect me from disconnecting from my family, that belief was created. It doesn't need to be rational. And you can
Mhm.
also have contradictory beliefs.
Mm.
You can believe in A and the opposite of A.
Mhm.
Um, so you do need to discover like the different layers, but usually when you clear one belief, you'll find relief, and it'll bring you to the next
Mm.
belief if there is one. It'll bring you to the
Right.
next belief. It'll surface, and then you need to clear that one. So it is a process, and it is a process that necessitates, I think, bravery. I really think when I see my clients go through the process, I think that they're very, very brave because you face things that you've probably tried to suppress for many
Mhm.
years. Um, and so it is a process. But depending on how big the issue is, you can get to the bottom of it quicker or less quick, etc. But as soon as you start the process, you feel, if you're into the process, if you're really committed to the process, you feel a switch, you feel, a shift, some relief.
Mm. Definitely. So we know we have a lot of women that have joined the group out of interest for weightlifting, but haven't started yet. And the most difficult thing for them is to actually start.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah. So, like I was explaining, if you're stuck, if you have a goal and you are stuck and you are taking action, that's relying on your conscious brain.
Mm.
And if if you feel stuck, then that is a sign that there's something going on in your subconscious. So
Mm.
like adding on more actions is not really going to help in the long term. Sometimes it'll help a bit, like I don't know, at some point I really wanted to wake up early. And so I put an alarm and, I did it for like a week and I thought I was like the queen of the world. And then I was gone. Okay. So, sometimes like it works a bit, but if you're looking for to really, really like reach your goal long term and you do feel that you're stuck or that you keep ending up in this loop, that's a sign that there's something blocking you. There's a belief blocking you. And I really, really, really encourage you to reach out to a coach that has like a proven technique, um,
Mm.
and that can really help you through it. And the key is to go for the subconscious. So if a coach or anyone is talking to you about process, about actions, you're in the wrong area. You're again relying on your conscious brain, and your issue lies in your subconscious. Make
Wow.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next question I have might be answered the same way, but let's see. So for some of us, like weightlifting is very addictive, and we sometimes go overboard with it. And I
Mhm.
can tell myself that I'm guilty of that.
Mhm.
Um, for example, today there was the big funeral of Rav Kanievsky, and like our CrossFit gym literally just canceled all classes, and it felt like that's it. Like I'm failing at CrossFit when I go to CrossFit like 5 times a day. It doesn't
Oh
do it.
wow.
It doesn't do
Mm.
any, not 5 times a day, 5 times a
5
week.
times a
It
week, yeah.
doesn't do anything if I miss one to my overall goals, but it feels like I feel addicted to it, right? And
Mhm.
it can be taken to an unhealthy mental place, but also cause like serious injuries. Sometimes you need your body to rest. Like maybe crossfitting 5 times a day is not 4 times a week. Sorry, not a day, is not so healthy for your body. So, do you have any advice on how to find balance, like
Mm,
not to feel, that you have to do so much in order to
yeah.
excel, basically?
Yeah. So, there's a concept called correction. So when you're in alignment it means that you, your purpose in life, your meaning that you've attributed to your life, all these words that, I mean, we would need much more time to get into, but when all of that is aligned, then your actions are also aligned, and it feels good. When you're doing something out of correction, and most of us lead most of our lives from a place of correction, um, when you can't do that thing, there are negative emotions that arise, like fear, guilt, disappointment, and all that. Those are clear signs that you are doing something out of correction. So, and I'll give you an example just to
No,
make it a
but
bit
maybe
more concrete.
what it means a little bit. What does it
Yeah.
mean
So,
to do something out of correction?
right. So I'll give you an example. I think that it will illustrate. So I had a client who we weren't working on anything like fitness related, but she went to the gym every single day, and when she couldn't go to the gym, it really really like weighed on her. Um, like the same way that you're saying, like that feeling of like, oh, like I feel, I don't know. In her case, it was really not a pleasant feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, usually, okay, if you can go from time to time, that should be okay. It shouldn't cause like a lot of inner turmoil. But for her,
Mm-hmm.
it really, really did. And so we spoke about that a bit. And what we realized is, and I'll say it now, and it'll sound really obvious because I'm like piecing it all together for you.
Mm-hmm.
But she came from an abusive family. Her father was abusive to her mother and also to some of the kids. And she had promised that she would never be weak, so that she would never be put in that position. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was really, really, really important for her to, to strength build and to feel strong. Um, so her actions were coming from this place where she was constantly trying to correct what she had seen growing up. And so whenever she couldn't do that, all of these negative emotions arose. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if it had been from a healthy place, then um, from time to time you can't make it. That's fine. That's normal. That's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the thing is, I gave like an extreme example, right? Like, okay, this is like we're talking about abuse and whatever. It doesn't need to be so big. It doesn't need to be so traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's an expert called Dr. Gabor Mate. His expertise is trauma and addiction, and he defines trauma as an instance in your life where you were not able to be your authentic self. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It like he doesn't, there's no like someone needs to rob you of any. No, you weren't able to be your authentic self. And that definition is very, very wide. And so, sometimes you think about past events in your life and you remember them, like you remember how painful they were to you. And it could have been really, really small. It could have been like the neighbor who called you a name, or who teased you, or who didn't want you to play with the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the kids, right? But when you remember it, like you feel that pain. And if you were to say it to, someone else, they'd be like, what's the big deal? Like, why are you thinking about this 40 years later, Um, but
Mm-hmm.
but trauma is something that's really, really individual. And if you expand the definition of trauma to that, okay, then so many things can fall under that category. So I gave an extreme example, but again, it doesn't need to be an extreme example. So to come back to your question full circle, um, I would say, why? Why is it so addictive to you? Where does this come from? What are you trying to correct, achieve? And then work on that, because you should be able to come to a place of balance. You just need to find the source.
Mm.
So it's the
Mm-hmm.
same, it's the same process, it's the same idea, but here we're talking about an extra element, which is correction.
Mm-hmm.
I I hope that was clear.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Total
Okay.
sense. I'm thinking out loud now. You're gonna do a therapy session on me, but personally, it
Yes.
might be because like I'm trying. It may be very easy, but maybe I don't have my like let's say eating habits like as good as I want them to be at the moment, and like I'm feeling like maybe the gym in my mind is like a correction. Like if I work out
Mm.
more, I sweat more, then the food that I ate will be less bad or whatever. It could be but it's like an obvious correction. I don't know if it's so obvious when we start thinking about these things.
But sometimes sometimes all you need to do is like stop and think. Sometimes for certain clients it'll come really like they'll stop and think and they'll be like, oh, I think it's coming from here. And sometimes we'll have to do like a lot more work to discover where it comes from. Like I lead people through visualizations where I try to basically bypass their
Mm,
conscious brain and get into the subconscious. And sometimes if that doesn't work, I will use healing if the client is okay with it, to understand where it's coming from. Um, so it sometimes, again, sometimes it's really easy to understand where it's coming from. Sometimes you need to dig deeper. But it could be, and I think like you're an intuitive person, like it
mhm,
could be
mhm,
you are capable of just saying like, oh, there's probably this equation in my head where food um, and physical exercise equals desired outcome. So I just need to play with those two things. So if the
mhm,
food isn't where I want it to be, then I'm gonna like go all
mhm.
crazy with the physical exercise, and then I can, you know,
Yeah.
reach my goal.
I consciously now I know that like food is like 90% of like weight loss, but like
Mm.
growing up I didn't know that, so maybe my unconscious brain is still like doing that over working out business. But like
Yes.
it's very recent that I like consciously like learned that you can never like work out a bad diet, like it's impossible. But it's in the last 2 years that I figured this out, or maybe 3 4 years. But my
Mm.
whole life, I'm 30, like I've been overweight since I was 8 years old. Like this whole time I was trying to work out to lose weight, so it might
Yeah.
be that
Yeah.
personally
Well,
for my personal reason.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our subconscious beliefs.
Mhm.
I hesitate to say this because sometimes I find this like fact really hard to take in, but um like neuroscientists will say that some of them will say that like 90 to 95% of your subconscious beliefs are created before the age of 3.
Mm.
Some will say 4, some will say 8. I think
Mhm.
the maximum I've heard is like 12 from experts.
Mhm.
But when you think of that, like, man, you know, all the books, all
Ninety-five
the
percent of your brain is already
yeah,
done.
it's already done. And like all the self-help books you've read, right? You've read them in the
Yeah.
last 10 years or whatever. Well, they're not actually filling up your subconscious.
Mhm.
So that's why I say that it is a process that necessitates like a lot of bravery and vulnerability, because we often don't want to go back to those earlier years.
Okay, so Baba, now we understand there are different beliefs that are blocking us. How do we go from like awareness to fixing them?
Okay.
What's the process?
So I can only speak about what I do. I use neuro reprogramming. Um, and then for clients that feel comfortable with it, I mean, I actually try it with like all my clients, and some people are totally fine with it, and some people will stop me and be like, "Whoa, whoa, what are you doing?" But so I do, I do neuro reprogramming, which is like the like scientific process of how to reprogram your brain, and then I'll top it off with energy healing. Um, I think most people do feel okay with the energy healing, because maybe it's because, of my approach to it, which is, which makes people more comfortable than in other situations, because we've gone through a whole process, and it's not just like, okay, close your eyes, touch a few stones, do a bit of incense, and we're done. So we've gone through a whole process, so they feel more comfortable with it. But that's what I do. I do neuro reprogramming, and then for anyone who's into it, and I do definitely recommend, I also top it off with the energy healing.
You didn't explain what energy healing is. Can you backtrack a little bit?
So the modality I use is called Theta healing. And
it's hard to explain. Okay,
it's not that it's like, I mean, it would take up more time than we have, but Theta is one of our brain waves. And so what I do, and people who use Theta, is I connect in that brain wave. The easiest way for me to explain it, or at least how I understand it, is that, so I'm here, right, with my physical body, and you're there with your physical body, and seemingly it doesn't look like we're connected, right? But in the energy world, we're all of us, we're all connected. And so what I do is, through a Theta brainwave, which is really easy to get to, by the way, anyone can do it, I connect to that connection that we have. And I actually think it's a really, really beautiful thing, because it really has allowed me to understand that we're all connected. We're really all connected. The first time that I tried it, I was surprised. I really, really surprised myself. And I keep surprising myself sometimes with, with what comes up, because it keeps reaffirming how connected we are, even though to the blind eye, we look completely separate. So I think it's like also a beautiful message about us as humans. And yeah.
Yes, the first time like you did it to me, I was like, let her do her thing. What the hell is this thing? But then the more we progressed, it was like, something's working. I'll let her do her thing.
Right. I know.
So that's how, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go through these steps, can anyone heal from their like limiting beliefs, do you think?
Yes. I that is one of my core beliefs. Yes. Anyone, as long as they really are invested in the process, can heal. So and what do I mean by really invested in the process? So part of the process is, as I said, like understanding where something came from. And then we go through like steps of neuro reprogramming, which is understanding like how you've benefited from this belief your whole life. And what I always say to my clients is that it's not enough for you to be talking to me, like when we're doing the process, on a rational level. What do I mean? I mean, sometimes yes, you need to be like, recalling the events, etc. But I think about like 20, 30 years ago, scientists found in our hearts a collection of neurons that behave exactly as our brain does. And they call it the mini brain. Okay, and why is that so interesting? That means that every single time you go through something, that event is being registered not only in your memory up here, but also in your heart, in your heart's mini brain. So when we're trying to heal something, when we're trying to reprogram something, and we're talking about where it came from, it's not enough for you to be telling me from here what you remember. You need to also feel it. And I think that that's being totally invested in the process. Someone that my coach, by the way, if I'm not crying during a session, she's like, "You're not feeling it enough." So I don't do that. I accept that people can feel things without crying. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you need to really, really be in a you need to invest in the process from a place of vulnerability. You need to be willing to really go back to all of these places. And again, I'm not talking about like crazy trauma. I'm just talking about like our own painful experiences, and we all have painful experiences. But if you do that, if you're committed and brave, then yes, you can heal from anything. That is my
Amazing.
belief.
Okay, I can't believe we're almost done with the interview. This was really interesting. So, I would love to give you the opportunity to talk directly to our members about anything that is important to you that we haven't already covered. Is there anything you would like to share with our community?
Yeah, I think if I take a step back and I try and like sum up,
Mm-hmm.
so what changed my life is this understanding that we really, really, really create our own reality. Because if my life is being governed by my subconscious beliefs, and those subconscious beliefs are inside me, inside my brain, and I have the ability slash power to heal them if I'm willing to go through a process, then that means that I really have the ability to create my own reality. And once I realized that, I I mean, I really, really, on so many aspects, so many levels of my life, just improved. I
Mm.
improved my relationship to my kids, my relationship with my husband, my career goals,
Mm.
everything. And I still have, I'm not done. I mean, there's still a journey to go, but I saw it firsthand, and I see it with my clients. And so what I really, really would say is that you have the power to really create your own reality. And sometimes you have those voices in your head that discourage you. Those voices, they're not yours. That's not how we were created. Those voices are someone else's from your past. And it could have been like
Mm.
a really um, well-intentioned parent or guardian or teacher or whatever it is.
Mm.
I believe that a lot of them are well-intentioned, but they put voices in our head, and and we're adults, and we can take back control of those voices in our heads and replace them with our own voice, which is a healthy voice. We
Mm.
just have to be willing to go through the process. And to me, that was my game changer in my life. That understanding, that switch from victim mentality
Yeah,
to like, no, I'm the creator. I
that is
mean,
amazing.
not God. I'm not God. I just mean I'm the
The creator of my reality. Yeah.
yes,
Amazing.
yes, yeah.
Amazing. So powerful. So what's next for Esther? What goals do you have for 2022 and beyond?
Mm. Um. So I think my goals have always been the same, but now I'm a lot clearer on them. My goal for this year, but for my life really, is to impact the most number of lives positively, to facilitate really like transformative change for the biggest number of people possible. Um, and then on a more like personal, intimate level,
Get this baby out of
uh,
me.
uh, no, I'm of the type like stay in there for as long as you want, little baby. But but when you come out, um, I just like, what do we hope as mothers? I just really hope to be, the type of mother that allows my kids to live their own authentic lives, and that I don't
Mm.
create too many
Mm.
too many unhealthy beliefs for them. For my 3 kids that I have at home, and God willing for this kid, and yeah, to just continue living aligned to who I really, really am, to the cliche authentic self.
Amazing. So that's it. We finished the interview. This was super, super different, but super interesting. Thank you so much, Esther.
Thank you,
Um,
Sarah.
if our community members want to reach you or find you or work with you, like, what's the best way to get in touch with you? How can we find you?
So, Sarah, you have been the one telling me that I need to get on social media. So I haven't been like so great on that, but I do have accounts. So on Facebook, I'm Esther L, coach and healer. On Instagram, I'm Esther L _coach.healer. I'm I gotta be honest, I'm not like so active on
You're not active at all.
I'm not active at all. Oh my gosh. But I get clients through word of mouth,
Yeah.
and apparently they're okay with not being so active on social
Yeah.
media. So so definitely, like, I get WhatsApps. People reach out by WhatsApp that they've heard of me from. So do you want me to give my phone number now or drop
If
it
you
in the
want, or I
comment?
could put them in the comments if you want.
Sure,
Yeah.
put it in the comment. I mean, I'll say it. It's 054-700-8026. I also coach people abroad, like not only in Israel. Yeah, so those are the ways to reach me.
And English, French, and Hebrew?
English, French, and Hebrew. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
Sarah,
Thank you,
thank you so
Esther.
much. And thank you to your amazing, empowered community of great women that I really, really look up to.
Amazing. Thank you, Esther. Good night.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.